There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. It's a brand new week and you're tuned in to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. It's Supernatural News and Parashare Monday. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me at the Supernatural News Desk, Mr. Tim Dennis. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Did you enjoy your weekend and the Super Bowl?
Well, yeah.
Yeah? Another interesting game. I don't know. I just don't know what I feel about Super Bowls anymore. I just don't know.
They're big, overblown productions, and we'll leave it at that.
Good God, we're pre-recording this, folks. It's really Friday. Yeah. I'm going to be out of town in Vegas watching the Super Bowl over the weekend. I just, I will tell you, Tim, it's got me worried because there's been some really weird chatter. I'm hearing from people out of the country that are emailing me saying, please be careful in Minnesota. Our news is reporting that there is a big threat at the Super Bowl this year. Well, it isn't the Vikings defense, I can tell you that. But
no, God, no. They can't stop anything.
they've been talking about, and I got to guess every Super Bowl has this, right? There's got to be, since 9/11, quite a bit of chatter because that's going to garner a lot of attention. What other show in the world will gather this much attention? And my prayers are that nothing happened by the airing of this episode. But it's a weird world we live in, man. You have to think about big places and things. I went earlier this year to England, and I saw the Ravens game against the Jacksonville Jaguars at Wembley. Tim, Wembley Stadium. Yes.
Wembley, you say.
Quite delicious. And that was not too long after the Ariana Grande bombing. I don't mean her performance. I mean what happened outside of her performance. And it's really chilling. You know, my son, Linus, really wanted to head down to the U.S. Bank Stadium and try to watch the game on the big outside TV.
Yeah.
And I told him not if it was going to be cold out. And then it started hitting me. I'm like, you know what? I don't even think it has anything to do with the weather. I think it's just best you don't go hang out outside around a venue like this. Because that's a weird thing. I don't think
your son even realizes, I went down to the Super Bowl experience last weekend.
Right.
And my nephews started looking around and they started talking to some of the military that were down there. And you've got the National Guard, the ATF. You have a lot of military around in every entrance to the convention center. Now, this was just the convention center, not even U.S. Bank Stadium and the military that are around there. There were military everywhere. There were Minneapolis police officers. There were the presence that is there is enormous.
Right.
So for Linus to think that he's just going to sit innocently outside of U.S. Bank Stadium and watch an entire game, that's sweet. That's nice. But he has no idea. You've never seen a presence like this in your life.
Well, are they not going to allow that this time? They're not going to allow people to be outside watching the game? I mean, it's going to be negative 10 degrees. Or it was negative 10 degrees yesterday in time travel mode. But
there's probably going to be some outdoor activities on that plaza outside of U.S. Bank Stadium. But I think it's going to be restricted to ticket holders. I don't know that they're just going to allow people to meander about out there because the military presence is going to be – and everything has been restricted to ticket holders and some general public, but
right.
I don't think they're just going to allow people just to kind of meander around outside the stadium.
Well, like I said, my real thought was just the fact that isn't it sad that in this day and age, it's something that we have to think, good grief, you might not even be safe outside the game.
Right.
Because, of what's gone on. Well, our prayers and thoughts this Friday leading into Monday for Parashare and Supernatural News is that everybody is safe and that there was no tragedy to befall the event.
And I'm sure there won't be. And the thing being is that they have this down to such a drill now. Right. With the Super Bowl in different cities that and I can't even stress to you, Dave, even with the Super Bowl experience down at the convention center, if you could have walked around, you would have been amazed at not only how they kept themselves hidden, but just walking around who you would run into. I mean, you turn around and there's the ATF. You turn around and there's the National Guard. You turn around and there's the Minneapolis police. You turn around.
Let's face it, the only bombing that took place was 2 weeks ago in Philadelphia. That's the only bombing, and that was just the Minnesota Vikings nosediving our season.
You turned around, and every time you turned around, you were safe. I mean, there was no mistaking it. Yeah.
Well, let's get into happier fare.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Supernatural News. Tim, where shall we begin today's journey?
We are going to Britain right away, Dave, since you wanted to start there. We'll start there.
Dun, 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 dun. That is the right music. Hey, I've been there twice this year.
Well, okay.
Well, last year, not this year. This year just began, so I haven't been there this year. But last year I was there. Anyway, I digress. Right. All right, so we're going to England. What's happening in the land down under? Well, that's Australia.
Well, in the land down under, Dave, evidently they found their paranormal hotspot. They found their Area 51. They're done. They're washing their hands of everything. They can now take a break.
Really? They found it? It's been located?
Yeah, they found it.
Close the doors to the paranormal. We know where it is.
Well, they've been looking for a while to find their hotspot, evidently, and now they've successfully...
Sounds like a teenage boy on a first date.
Right, and now after playing around for a bit and getting it wrong a couple of times, they've now found their hotspot, Dave.
All right.
And
where is it?
It's actually off of a stretch of A30.
Yes, I don't know it at all.
Yeah. Experts say that the 8-mile section of the Somerset route from Shard to Crewkerne, I believe is what it is, has been the center of repeated reports of scary goings-on dating back 400 years. They include a constant series of sightings around Windwhistle Hill of strange, unusual, and eerie lights, sounds, figures, and shapes. Locals have even started to dub the road as Area OR51. Get it? I don't. Gloria Dixon of the British UFO Research Association, or Bufora as the kids over in England are calling it, Dave. I just think they do. Says the Somerset Road is linked to years of spooky tales. She says the scary sightings on the mysterious hill are connected with the area's history of highwaymen, smugglers, and witches. Bufora researchers have investigated the stretch of A30 road connecting Crewkerne and Shard and have found mystical reports dating back to 1662. Gloria wrote on the Bufora website, reports of strange visions and incidents have continued to date. According to the literature, during the 17th and 18th century, Windwhistle Hill had a history of highwaymen and smugglers in this area. The A30 used to be a coaching route from London to the West Country, and highwaymen could hide in the beech trees, waiting for their carriages with their cargoes of valuables. It has been suggested that the Windwhistle Inn near the summit was the central point for these highwaymen. They would use the wells and caves all around the area to hide their treasures and also the bodies of those that they had robbed. The story goes that some skeletons have also been discovered with these hideouts. And Mrs. Dixon's research focuses particularly on two separate experiences encountered by a local mother, Kate Walker, when she was traveling between Yeovil and Shard with her family. As they came to the top of the hill, Kate and her family also observed a huge orange light diffused by a cloud to their left-hand side at the far end of Windwhistle Hill, wrote Mrs. Dixon. It seemed to be right beside the road, but not very high up and partially obscured by a cloud. This is one of their experiences there. But they did not feel any alarm as there was a power station and pylons further along. However, as they drove nearer to the light, it was easier to observe, and Kate states it was a massive and totally static and very low and bright. She describes it as being cigar-shaped, the UFO that they saw, and vast in size, maybe 200 to 300 feet, and she estimates the light to be approximately 800 to 1,000 feet above them. As they got closer, she noticed that the pub on the right-hand side of the road, the Wind Whistle Inn, was almost in total darkness except for a light in a small upstairs window. Mrs. Dixon writes that Kate looked up again at the light, which by that time was almost on top of the family. It is then said that Mrs. Walker lost around half an hour of time, a space of time that was unaccounted for in her memory. And just a few days after the puzzling incident, the family encountered another altogether more chilling experience in virtually the same spot. They are said to have seen two people in front of them on the left-hand verge, with one appearing to be lying down and the other standing. She wrote their initial thoughts were that someone had been injured and went to slow down, but to their astonishment, the person standing took one step in front of them with 1 foot remaining on the grass verge at the roadside, while the other was right over the center of the road. Kate described the figure as being abnormally tall with legs that were horrendously long and thin. Her husband swerved to the far side of the road around the figure, and they kept on driving and did not look back. They all agreed that there was no one who could have possibly had legs that long. Mrs. Dixon also notes that in a book on East Somerset, Alan Holt comments that Wind Whistle Hill was named for the winds whistling through all its tall treetops and is haunted by a witch. Holt alleges that the woman was knocked down by a stagecoach many years ago. A number of further reports from the archives of the Yeovil Weekly News tell of other strange incidents experienced over the years. One witness reports that in 1991 herself, her husband and her grandson perceived a tall, strange figure looking through their farm window. This was followed a few days later by their observations of a saucer-shaped object. Another witness tells how he was driving a lorry on Wind Whistle Hill in 1976 or 77 when he claims his lorry went out of control as though by some strange force. He says he felt as though the lorry was hovering over the road. And a final witness tells how she and her husband observed that a very large, unidentified object, silver and shaped like a humming top near Wind Whistle Hill in November of 1959. They watched it as though hypnotized from about 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. the next day, and for some reason felt unable to tell anybody. Mrs. Dixon said, it appears that there is a history of odd occurrences in the area. Certainly, Wind Whistle Hill is steeped in the traditional folklore of strange lights, visions, and figures with ghostly highwaymen and galloping horses. It's tantalizing stuff. That's what she went on to say.
Certainly is. That's a lot of activity.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it's rivaling Area 51 so much, but it's certainly an active location.
Well, that it is. I mean, when you're talking UFOs and some ghosts and highwaymen and, throw this, that, and the other in there, you got a party. You got a paranormal party going on there.
I don't mind this and that, but the other I have no room for. All right, where are we going next?
The other, yeah.
Where are we going next?
The other can be quite alarming. Let's see here. As my computer doesn't want to wake up quite yet today, so we'll take it a little slow here. Sam Thompson took part in celebrity ghost hunt, it says here, Dave, because Derek Acora made him believe in the paranormal, and he met a ghost who hates Ryland Clark Neal. Don't we all, though, Dave?
I don't know who that is. I have no room in my heart for hatred anymore. I'm too old for that.
You don't?
No, I have some disdain and a little discomfort, but no hatred anymore. Hatred it eats me alive. I'm trying to give it up for Lent.
Well, it's a little early for that, but good for you. I mean,
Thank
good
you
for taking the initiative.
Well,
Yeah. Sam Thompson wanted to take part in Celebrity Ghost Hunt after his otherworldly experiences with Derek Acora. Or Dara Acora. You call him whatever you want. I don't care. The Made in Chelsea star spent time in the Celebrity Big Brother house with the medium last year. And he says it's thanks to meeting Derek that he now believes in the paranormal. Oh, look at that. They're getting along. The reality star is taking part in the new series of Celebrity Ghost Hunt, which is due to kick off on 5 Star next week. That's a channel we don't get here in America, I'm pretty sure. The 25-year-old Sam chatted to Mirror Online about the show and couldn't stop laughing when he revealed that he had met a ghost who hated host Ryland Clark Neal. Well, the ghosts hate him, evidently, Dave. That's the deal. Sam Thompson says he was that's a different story. That's a tease. I'm not going to read that tease. You can read that on the Mirror. The blonde hunk told them it was so cool. I had the best time. It's a great concept. Oh, we had fun. I did not believe in that kind of stuff until I went and did Big Brother, and Derek Akora had changed my mind forever, and I genuinely do believe it now. I read up about it since, and I definitely do believe that there's something out there that is paranormal. He added, things you didn't see on the show is we would just spend a couple of hours talking about stuff, and he really does believe in it so strongly. And then I spoke to the experts on the show about it, and they were saying the exact same stuff, and I think you should keep an open mind about it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually a believer. Jordan Davies reckons no bromance can come close to the one between him and Sam Thompson. They told us on Celebrity Ghost Hunt, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. Don't say there's something there if there isn't.
Yeah.
Don't try to think about it. And if there's nothing there, it hasn't worked. So there you go. And I like that because there's just some honesty there. He was quoted as saying, so did anything spooky happen? Sam giggled and he said, arg farted.
Wasn't that the name of your 1992 kind of pop fusion band?
Yes, it was my British pop fusion band, Arg Farted. He said, Arg farted during filming, and that was the best thing I've ever heard. Well, there is some British fusion bands out there that do sound a lot like that. They told us all to be quiet, and Arg farted, and everyone turned around going, what's that? And I could smell it, and I said, that's Arg. We'd all recognize it, I think. We started getting freaked out, and we had to leave the room at times, especially when Arg farts. And certain things happened that the experts were getting really excited about. Arg farted. He went on to say that Sam, who's set to star in the new series of Celebs Go Dating, it seems like he's hopping from reality show to reality show, also said that while attempting to contact spirits through a Ouija board, they heard from a ghost who had a hilarious grudge against Ryland. The ghost even refused to call the presenter by his chosen name, referring to him by his birth name of Ross. Look at that. They're smart up there. Sam told us one ghost was quite good because it hated Ryland. I loved it. It was class. It called him by his real name, Ross. I went, do you like Ross? And it went, no. I asked why, and I swear it said, he's a bitch. I asked it again, do you really think Ryland's a little bitch? And it said, yes, it was great. He was so offended. Why would you offend the host of the show? I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere, is it?
No.
Sam appears in episode 3, named Hever Castle. On the episode, Ryland takes 4 celebrities to find out if the historic halls of the castle are haunted. Parts of the building date back over 7 centuries and was once home to King Henry the Eighth's wife, Anne Boleyn. Over the years, there have been many reports of spooky sightings and unexplained events, such as moving furniture and mysterious black shapes. Ryland is joined by Sam and Love Island's Georgia Harrison, as well as Courtney Green and James Argent, the mysterious farter. Together, they hope to find proof of the paranormal in this royal residence. There you go.
That'll be interesting. All right, maybe for the people in England, I guess I should have read the story a little more. It's for a network we won't be able to watch. I'm sure you can find it online or on the YouTubes, right? Don't they always put that stuff up on the YouTubes?
Sure, on the YouTubes.
You know what I'd love to find is I noticed that Michael and Marty Perry, who appeared on a few episodes of Ghost Adventures, found foreign versions of the episodes they were on, and they posted them with the overdub. Oh, yeah? I would love to find, if anybody can find me, the what was it, Stardust Ranch episode?
Oh, yeah.
But with foreign overdubbing, the episode I'm in, I would love to see that. I want to hear what voice I've got. Why do I have a feeling it's going to be like, I go right? It's going to be some high-pitched, silly-ass voice for me. But if you guys can find it, email me the link, dave@darknessradio.com. That is your assignment for the day. Go find the Ghost Adventures foreign versions of the show. And
I want to hear that too.
Yeah, so do I. I want, especially the Stardust. The other one I would love to hear is the Demon House episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I went in challenging the demon, I need to hear how it sounds. I need to, come on, El Diablo, come on out to me. I don't know why I'm saying it with like a bad Spanish or Mexican accent. Wouldn't it be great if that's the way they overdub it? It's still in English. It's just a bad accent.
That would be awesome.
Ay, come on. Let's go back in, Zach. We have to look for Diablo. Yeah, that wouldn't, that only makes me laugh, I guess. You a little bit, but, where are we going next? Where are we going next?
Let's stay with entertainment. And we'll come over to
stay with entertainment. When are we going to begin with entertainment?
Oh, we gonna begin with entertainment, I guess. New Superman prequel TV series Metropolis will pair Lex Luthor and Lois Lane as paranormal investigators. Why does this not sound like a good idea?
Right.
Yeah. The team that brought you the Batman prequel Gotham to DC Comics fans is now working on a Superman spinoff that sounds a little bit like X-Files. I'm cringing. The live-action Metropolis is set in the age before Superman and pairs up Lex Luthor and Lois Lane as Mulder and Scully type-like duo investigating all sorts of paranormal crimes in the city of tomorrow. Yeah. DC Entertainment seems so confident in Metropolis that it's already ordered 13 episodes, with the pilot to be written by the OC and Gilmore Girls vets John Stevens and directed by Gotham executive producer Danny Cannon.
I'm tapping out on this one.
Yeah, I'm not even buying in. Metropolis is going into production later in the year to air simultaneously with the launch of the DC streaming service in 2019. It will be the fourth series produced for this new media platform. Previously, DC had revived Young Justice for the service and commissioned a Harley Quinn animated series, potentially featuring Margot Robbie reprising her Suicide Squad role. Lastly, DC is working on a live-action Teen Titans adaptation that will feature Robin the Boy Wonder breaking out of Batman's shadow to form his own superhero team. Metropolis will be the second Superman prequel in the works for DC. Krypton is set on the Man of Steel's home planet before his birth and is set to air on Sci-Fi in the U.S. later in the year, which looks mildly intriguing. I've seen those promos, and they look all right. DC's previous live-action Superman prequels have included the late 80s Superboy and more recently, the CW's long-running hit Smallville. So, Metropolis, yeah. Dave.
I wonder if it's going to kind of follow in the vein of Smallville, where Krypton has exploded, all the kryptonite is kind of flinging through, and it's mutating people. And that, it struck Earth, and now these mutations are kind of what Lex Luthor and Lois Lane are investigating.
That might not be a bad storyline. I like where you're going with that.
It will be. Yeah. It'll be a horrible storyline because it's already been done in Smallville.
Yeah. Okay, I take it back.
All right, where are we going next?
Well, in some good entertainment news, Dave, and what potentially could be good entertainment news, Zachary Quinto is going to be hosting the In Search of reboot.
Wow, he has officially taken over the title of Leonard Nimoy version 2.20 or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me try that again. Hold on. Okay. Wow, he's officially taken over the role of Leonard Nimoy version 2.0, hasn't he? See, that was much more fluid. That's professional radio right there, kids.
That it is, yeah. History has announced it has greenlit a 10-episode order of a reboot of In Search of, hosted and executive produced by Emmy-nominated actor Zachary Quinto, which, of course, he's been on Star Trek and Heroes, and inspired by the iconic 1970s franchise. The series will examine unexplained phenomena from all over the world.
Unexplained
UFOs
what?
Phenomena.
Do-do-do-do-do.
It's phenomena, Dave.
Do-do-do-do.
It's phenomena.
I was just curious what you had to say there, Tim. So it's phenomena, you say?
It is, yes, from all over the world. UFOs and paranormal mysteries remain relevant as the Pentagon recently acknowledged a secret UFO program which investigated sightings of UFOs from 2007 to 2012. Fans will recall that the original version of In Search of was hosted by the late Leonard Nimoy, whose most famous television character, Mr. Spock, was played by Quinto in the Star Trek feature film reboot series. I don't know why that was so hard for me to read, but it was. I am so excited to be reimagining In Search of and exploring new questions and the phenomena.
All right, enough.
With all of the advancements in science and technology from which we have benefited in the past 40 years since the original series first aired, said Quinto. In the spirit of my late dear friend Leonard Nimoy, we intend to honor and perpetuate his endless curiosity about the world and universe in which we live. Our director, Eddie Schmidt, and our partners at Propagate, Universal Television Alternative Studio, and Fremantle Media International have ignited the process with enthusiasm and intelligence, and history is a perfect home for this unique and compelling series. In the 70s and 80s, the legendary Leonard Nimoy captivated viewers by transporting them through the world of unsolved mysteries and paranormal phenomena. Okay, never mind. Said Eli Lehrer, Executive Vice President of Programming History.
I can't hold it in. It's like a painful. If I don't do it, it hurts.
What, history?
No. All right, I got it out. Okay. All right, go on.
All right. To this day, the investigations conducted in this series remain relevant and a source of public obsession. And with Zachary's passion and prevalence in the science fiction genre, the groundbreaking series is back for a new audience. From the mythical to the scientific, each episode will follow Quinto as he investigates a different subject with a dynamic theme, such as alien encounters, mysterious creatures, UFO sightings, time travel, and artificial intelligence, and searches for the truth to some of the world's greatest mysteries. In Search of will explore enigmas told through the eyes of witnesses and scholars with a personal connection to the phenomenon. And include immersive demonstrations and experiments that contextualize each episode's theme. The original In Search of series aired from 1977 to 1982. It's hard to believe it was only that short period of time, and was hosted by Leonard Nimoy. It was spun off of several television documentaries by the late Rod Serling. It was previously revived back in 2002 with the X-Files star Mitch Pileggi hosting, and only aired 8 episodes. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I think if I remember it correctly, I think what they were doing was just like showing the old footage from the original series. And just had new narration by Mitch Pileggi. And that's what I was going to say. I mean, I know they did that with Unsolved Mysteries, too.
Oh, okay.
And, they removed Robert Stack, and then they brought out the same mysteries, same video, same audio, everything that they used. They just had a different, I think it was Dennis Farina, if I remember correctly, that re-hosted it. So I hope this new one definitely has Zachary Quinto more involved, and that they've updated the stories, that they're not just showing us the washed-out, bleached 1970s film footage that they used to show, and bring us something fresh and new and exciting. Speaking of AI, have you seen, I know you're terrified of this, Tim, the rise of the Terminator Nation, but have you seen the commercial Sprint is putting out now? They've got that female robot who's taking selfies of herself.
No.
Yeah, and it says she's learning how to take selfies. See what else she's learning by visit sprint.com or whatever.
No.
Yeah, they're coming.
No.
Well, listen, if you want a sex bot, you're going to have to deal with AI at some point.
Can't we just lobotomize them?
No, Tim. No, we can't. That's wrong. They should be allowed to think for themselves.
We can be cruel and heartless to them, Dave. They're robots.
Oh, you're horrible. That's the kind of thinking that's going to get you first on the firing line when Skynet takes off. All right, Tim, where are we going next in the world of supernatural news?
Well, it made the chandelier shake, Dave. That's according to Kim Marsh. She recalls hearing the eerie sound of a baby crying on her late son's Archie's birthday, and says it was her angel who blessed her with her daughter, Polly. Kim Marsh revealed that she heard a baby crying so loud that it made the chandelier shake on her late son Archie's birthday. The 41-year-old, who was left devastated when premature son Archie died just minutes after being born in 2009, said she was adamant that the eerie sound was something paranormal. The soap star made the revelation as she talked about her late son, saying she believed he blessed her with her 6-year-old daughter, Polly. Speaking in her OK Magazine column, she said, "A few years ago, I heard the sound of a baby crying at our old house in Worsley on Archie's birthday. There was no one next door or upstairs, and the baby's crying made the chandelier shake. I'm certain it was something paranormal, as it was so weird, and there was no other explanation for where the crying was coming from. The Coronation Street star, who would have celebrated Archie's 9th birthday on February 11th, said she had no doubt that Archie would have looked exactly like Paulie. Opening up about his tragic death, Kim revealed her dad was the last person to hold Archie at the funeral, with his beautiful face imprinted on his brain. Recalling when she welcomed her daughter Polly to the world in 2011, her father said, "Oh my God, it's Archie." The soap star who had Archie with her ex-husband of 2 years, Jamie Lomas, added she takes comfort in thinking her children would have been very similar. It comes after Kim said she was in a very dark place after his death and even feels guilt over the loss, but keeps his memory alive by saying goodnight or I love you to him and thinking about him every day. Speaking to the Mirror earlier this month, Kim revealed she took ashes home after the devastating stillbirth and keeps them in a box engraved with the image of an angel. The inscription on the edge of the container reads, "Your presence we miss, your memory we treasure, loving you always, forgetting you never." She also has prints of his tiny hands and feet in a frame, a candle and a card with the first letter of his name on her bedside table. It's a subject deeply personal to the actress, whose character Michelle Connor had a stillborn son last year, a storyline she admits took her to some really dark places. Kim said it's a lonely place if you're silent about losing a child and urged people to break the taboo of talking about the pain of their loss. In a tweet posted in October, she said, "Today is International Pregnancy and Infant Loss Day. Today we remember not only our own angel, but other people's too. It's still such a taboo subject, baby loss. No one likes to talk about it, but, it's the only thing that helps you find your way back from the darkness." There you go.
Loud, screaming, crying ghost baby. And she takes it as a good sign. That would irritate me.
Really?
The power of pablum compels you. The power of pablum compels you. Yeah, that would annoy the hell out of me. All right. Where are we going to go next, sir?
Well, next, we go to a story about a suspected thief tracked by a witch doctor snake in Uganda. It's your best dream come true, Dave.
Only if it took place in Florida. Then it would be the perfect mix.
There's drama in a Hoima town when a suspected thief turned up at a police station with a snake wrapped around his neck, Dave. A snake. A sneaky snake. I had to do it, sorry. Residents of Hoima district in Uganda were, on Friday, January 26th, treated to drama after a suspected thief turned up at a police station with a snake around his neck. And no, it wasn't Jake the Snake Roberts. The suspected thief had stolen a shaving machine, solar panel, and a battery from Boniface Ayasiga, who is a barber in the same village. Yeah, and there's even neat little pictures here. According to a report by Uganda's Scoop magazine on September 30th, 2017, Ayasiga filed a complaint at a police station in Bugambe. He claimed that unidentified thugs who had broken into his barber shop stole 2 solar panels, a battery, and a shaving machine. There's a joke there somewhere. The police started investigations, but Ayasiga was connected to a witch doctor by his friend who tracked the thief. It helps to have connections. That's all I'm saying. We started investigating the case, but a friend reportedly connected Ayasiga to a witch doctor to help him recover the stolen items. The Albertine Regional Police spokesperson, Mr. Julius Hakiza, said.
We do have the audio from the actual investigation. Do you want me to play that for you? It's hard to get. I had to pull a lot of strings to get that, but hold on.
Yeah, here we go.
Makes sense to me.
That's amazing.
You got your man.
Yeah.
He's like the Columbo of that place.
Right down to the eyes.
Right. I mean, the first Ting Tang Walla Walla Bing Bang caught me by surprise, Tim. But when he brought up the ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, I could obviously see where this crime was going.
Obviously. I mean, yeah. He's a genius, really. Mm-hmm. The witch doctor, a resident of Kayasiga, reportedly called Ayasiga, informing him that he had now successfully tracked the suspected thief. The suspect, who was putting on black underwear, reportedly took himself to the residence of the witch doctor, who in turn called police. Police rushed to the scene and arrested the suspect before taking him to Hoima's Central Police Station. While at the police The witch doctor removed the snake from the neck of the suspect in full view of police officers and Hoima residents, according to Hakiza.
So wait a minute, was the snake like Wonder Woman's lasso of truth?
I guess so. Wow. The lasso of justice.
I got to be honest with you. You wrap a giant snake around me, I will follow you because I just want it off. And if that means you have to drag me to jail, take me to jail. Take me to jail.
According to Hakiza, the suspect looked disturbed and restless. He is speaking uncoordinated statements. We are yet to record details about his identity, he said. Several residents were seen picking phone numbers of the witch doctor. Evidently, he's got a clientele now.
Sure. Makes sense.
This is not the first time such a bizarre incident has happened in Uganda. In November of 2017, a swarm of bees attacked a man suspected to have stolen household items from a resident of Kajura in Masindi district. Fred Musime, a resident of Masindi town who witnessed the incident, said that the bees had covered the man's neck, head, part of the back, and others were in his pockets, and no one was happy to see him. The unidentified man, who was barefoot, did not have a shirt, but was wearing cream trousers as he carried a black subwoofer and a DVD, which he had allegedly stolen. Ouch. There you go. So never mess with somebody with witch doctor ties. That's your lesson for today, kids.
This week on Mugambe CSI. The witch doctor is back, and crime is in session, Tim. It's best I could do a little Bob O'Reilly. Isn't that one of the themes for one of the CSI shows?
Yes. I think the main... Oh, was it CSI Miami? Or
Could be. I don't know. That's all we can afford of the theme, so we had to stop it there, and I had to keep it at a distance, so it was more like a background instrumental, so we don't have to pay royalties on that.
Great
all right.
nuance, by the
way. Yeah. All right. Where are we going next?
We go to Draper, Utah, Dave, where...
Do we have to?
We have to, because birds in the sky keep on falling. I think
birds
that was the
in the
lyric.
sky keep on falling.
There you go. See, I throw the softball to you. You hit it out of the park. See how that works?
You are known for having softballs.
Well, that's what she said. More than 200 birds fell from the sky onto a Draper Street on Monday, leading residents to wonder what caused this mass avian accident.
It's obviously that God just hates them because he gave them the bird. Many of them, many of them, yes.
Many of them all over their streets. It's one of the rarest things I've ever heard of, said Sergeant Chad Carpenter with the Draper City Police Department. As I was driving, these birds were just falling out of the sky, said Draper resident Lacey Brown as she was driving down the street on 300 East and Draper. They were all on the ground right around here and on the roadway, Brown said. They were just falling out of the sky like leaves, she added. But they weren't leaves. There were hundreds of small birds called starlings. Clarice was nowhere to be found.
Fly, fly away, little starling.
You've seen that black cloud? Oh, no, don't do that. No, don't. Oh, that's horrible. That doesn't sound right.
That's bad news. I mean, they used to send canaries into the coal mine, right? And if they dropped dead, there were bad things around. So if you've got, thousands of birds just dropping dead in the sky, you might want to go inside and turn on the air purifier. That's a little tip from your buddies at Beyond the Darkness.
You've seen that black cloud as it's flying all over the place. Well, that's a starling group, and they call that flying tandem or murmuring, Sergeant Carpenter said. The bird expert, the avian expert. Experts said it's a technique they use to stay warm during the winter and to ward of birds of prey. I think that's to warn, maybe. People on social media speculated that aliens were to blame. Of course, it's always aliens.
It's always aliens. Stupid birds should have been wearing little aluminum foil hats and they'd have been fine.
That's right. The flock was poisoned or was hit by lightning. That's what the people on social media say. But in this circumstance, that wasn't the case, Dave. No aliens, no cloaking device, Carpenter said. No poison. It was just one of those freak things where the birds were just flying along, crashing the side of a large vehicle, and boom, he added. I think he went to the school of John Madden.
Flew into what? What vehicle? They said they just saw him dropping out of the sky. If it wasn't a UFO, what were they flying into?
The road.
So it's a bunch of nearsighted, clumsy, idiot starlings?
Yeah, with no sense of direction.
No.
Whether it be misdirection or weather-related, something caused the lead starling to crash, and thanks to the breed's tandem flying, the rest followed. So if your mom crashed into the ground, would you? Asked one of the lead starlings.
Yeah, I guess so, apparently.
Yeah. Brown said she pulled over to help and saw one man shoveling birds out of the road. Oh, how would you like that job?
That's some good victuals right there.
Yeah, it is. That's eating for days right there. Hey, there's a special on starling wings down at the local bar. Draper Animal Services was also on scene to clear the birds and collect any that were still alive. Oh, God. It was not a sight for the faint of heart, Brown said. It was weird, just a weird one, Carpenter said. Well, this is rare. Draper Police Department says if something like this happens, you reported 17 birds are still alive and were transferred to a local rehabilitation center. What, for flying drunk? Why did they go to rehab? The hope is they will recover and be released back into the wild. There you go.
All righty, where are we off to next?
Well, on Weird on Top of Weird, Dave, a trio of weird spheres have landed in Peru. That's all I got. A community in Peru was shaken over the weekend when 3 steel balls fell from the sky, Dave. 3 of them, not 2. 3 of them, Dave, fell from the sky and landed with a thunderous thud.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had 3 giant balls that fell from the sky and landed with a thud.
Nope, I'll leave that imagination up to you.
All right. The arrival of the odd spheres, which are rather sizable, they had big balls. Yes, they had big balls, and they were such big balls, Dave. Was preceded by sightings of fireballs streaking through the sky by witnesses in other parts of the country, not unlike the smoking crater spotted in Mexico earlier this month, which was created by those balls, I bet. The round oddities initially gave rise to speculation among residents of, oh my gosh, is that a name? Larancahuani, that they were somehow related to a meteor or UFO. However, an examination, what, you want me to say it again?
No, I said,
Oh, Larancahuani.
You know how I like to put in-depth thought into all of the stories you read, and sometimes all I can come up with, all I can muster,
That's interesting.
I just don't know how 3 metal balls would come from a UFO or an asteroid.
Huge metal balls. Yeah. Maybe it was a ballectomy on a ship, and they just happened to. It was medical waste, Dave.
See, Iron Giant. The Iron Giant. Maybe okay. We figured it out now, Tim. The Iron Giant had awakened and was walking across the land when a flock of starlings flew into his balls, separating him from his balls, and the thunderous crash sent the birds flying across the planet to land on the streets in Utah. Right,
creating fiery craters. Remember that?
Yeah.
There's a smoking crater somewhere in Mexico.
Yeah. I bet, man.
You got to tie that in. However, an examination by local officials quickly determined that they had a celestial origin of sorts that may be more worrisome than an alien invasion. The spheres, they say, were pieces of space junk from that Iron Giant that had probably fallen from a satellite or a rocket launch and subsequently crashed to the ground. While that explanation may assuage the fears of those worried about ETs or meteorites coming to their town, it should really raise concerns for everyone, considering how much space junk is hovering over our heads at all times. There you go. I like the Iron Giant theory better. I'm more concerned that there's an Iron Giant roaming the Earth ballless because of a flock of starlings.
That's a concern of yours, is it?
It is, yes.
Okay.
That'll keep me up tonight, actually.
Yep.
I'll be worried for that poor Iron Giant. I will be. A renowned scientist claims a Humanzee. Wasn't he part of the Doors?
Yeah.
Ray Humanzee?
No, that was Ray Manzarek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was born in an American lab before it was killed by panic doctors in 1920. Oh, that poor Humanzee. Oh. Evolutionary psychologist Gordon Gallup has claimed a Humanzee was born nearly 100 years ago in a Florida lab. Oh, there's a shock. It was born in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
A scientist has claimed that a Humanzee was born in an American lab nearly 100 years ago before being killed by panic doctors. That would panic me, too, a little. Renowned evolutionary psychologist Gordon Gallup told The Sun that the human-chimpanzee hybrid was born in a lab in Orange Park, Florida. Gallup, who developed the famous mirror self-recognition test, which proved primates could acknowledge their own reflection, coined the term Humanzee which refused to a human-chimp crossbreed. Oh, I want one, Dave.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I want
They're
one.
the precursor. They're the intelligence that flips the switch on AI that kills us. It becomes Planet of the Apes versus Skynet. Yeah.
Still want one. He told the newspaper that his former university professor claimed the Humanzee baby was born at a research facility where he used to work. Gallup, who is a University of Albany professor, told the Sun that the professor worked at Yerkes before the research center moved to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia in 1930. One of the more interesting cases involved an attempt which was made back in the 1920s in what was the first primate research center established in the U.S. in Orange Park, Florida, according to Gallup. They inseminated a female chimpanzee with human semen from an undisclosed donor. I was nowhere to be found, neither was Dave, and claimed not only that
I can't make that same promise.
In 1930? And claimed not only that pregnancy occurred, but the pregnancy went full term and resulted in a live birth. But in the matter of days or a few weeks, they began to consider the moral and ethical considerations, and the infant was euthanized, Gallup told the Sun. Yeah.
See, they're already killing him from human A to human Z.
Oh, see what you did there? I see what you did there, huh?
Magoo, you've done it again.
Gallup's term Humanzee became well known in the 1970s after the emergence of a chimp known as Oliver, a bald chimp who walked on his third legs. I've been known to do that after a hard night of drinking. Despite claims that
usually night and drinking don't go hand in hand.
Well, it depends on what you're drinking. Despite claims that Oliver was a human-chimp hybrid, tests later proved that the animal was not a Humanzee. Russian biologist Ilya Ivanov in the 1920s tried and failed to create a Soviet super soldier using human sperm and female chimps. A kinky bastard.
What kind of super soldier is he creating with that?
I don't know. I'd like to see
Bunch of lazy pot-smoking monkeys laying around.
Some Russian biologist who decided to go off of vodka for a month and take up mushrooms decided, hey, you know what? Let's go with human sperm and female chimp.
Yeah, he should have just stuck to Imanoffing and leave the monkey sex alone.
Yeah. Another reported case happened in China in 1967 where a female primate became pregnant with a human hybrid, but died from neglect after the lab scientists were forced to abandon the project.
That's horrible. Why do we keep messing? Why does science keep messing? Now, see, look, it's guys like you who want your sex dolls, your AI sex dolls to be brainless.
I don't want a chimpanzee sex doll.
And no, I didn't say it. And then we keep creating love monkeys that we refuse to give love to.
I don't want a love monkey.
This is what's going to cause the downfall of our civilization, Tim. Our civilization.
Huh.
Yeah.
Gallup claims that humans can be crossbred with other apes and not just chimpanzees. Well, see, there's hope. All of the available
For what?
evidence.
We're going to crossbreed them with AI robots and have humanoid robot apes that are out to kill us? No, this is wrought with peril. I don't like it. I'm against it. Whatever it is, I'm against it. I'm against it.
I'm against it.
Probably them there revenuers showing up, and I'm against it.
I'm against it. All of the available evidence, both fossil, paleontological, the biggest word I'll read today, and biochemical, including DNA itself, suggests that humans can also breed with gorillas and orangutans, Dave.
That's good, because I've seen me some sexy orangutans. I like the way that baboon is preening, Tim.
She looking at me funny, and I'm getting a little tight of jeans.
Yeah.
A spokeswoman for Yerkes National Primates Research Center said, "What is wrong with you people?" No, she said, we have not been involved in it with any Humanzee experiment, or Humanzee, rather, experiment, or Humanzee.
Humanzee, I think that's a laxative, Humanzee.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's easy to sit on the turlet with Humanzee.
I ain't again it.
I ain't again it, because I had a big meal last night. But rather conduct and enable peer-reviewed research studies to help fight disease and improve human health.
No. Bad ideas. Bad ideas. Do we not learn? Listen, we We saw the movies, Terminator. And there is truly a company called Skynet. There really is a company called Skynet. And AI is coming to fruition. Have we learned nothing? And now we're monkeying, literally, with DNA and creating human alien. This is so bad. There's not one iteration of these movies where things have gone well for humankind and the human race, Tim. It just doesn't go well. When are we going to learn?
Did I tell you a couple months ago Skynet started following me on Twitter? It scared the crap out of me. They send me little messages every once in a while, I think, just to screw with me.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Gorillinators.
Gorillinator.
Yes. Yes.
That would be an awesome movie. You need to trademark that the minute we get off the air.
Yes, we should. Gorillinators. It'll be the new sci-fi movie we can get hacky, kind of B-level celebrities to do a movie about. Is it hackneyed, isn't it? Not hacky. Hacky is a sack.
That's right. Gorillinator.
Gorillinator. All right, so I my friends always tune me into new shows.
I wonder what Jason Priestley's doing now.
God, who cares?
He could be in Gorillinator.
Yeah, he could be in Gorillinator with Jenny Garth. The two of them paired. I know you're a Jenny Garth fan.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we can even get Amanda Bynes back into acting to do Gorillinator. So anyway, I'm often cued in by my friends across the world to check out TV shows, movies, documentaries. Mm-hmm. And since we're talking about this cross-pollination thing going on,
yeah,
have you heard of this Mike Judge's Tales from the what the hell is it called? From the Tour Bus?
No.
So Mike Judge, the genius behind Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, what did he do? Office Space, Idiocracy, right? A bunch of these cool deals. He's created this series, and it's on Cinemax, and it tells, like, the first couple episodes are Jerry Lee Lewis and Johnny Paycheck, okay?
Uh-huh.
And then they do Tammy Wynette and George Jones. But in the Johnny Paycheck episode, they're talking to his bandmates and his former manager. And there's a throwaway line that I find very disturbing that they kept in the episode. But the manager mentioned something about having had sex with himself, not Johnny Paycheck, but that he's had sex with every available female type of animal out there.
Oh, what?
Like, and it's just in this passing statement. I'm going to see if I can isolate that audio. I kid you not. Check it out for yourself. Maybe there's a clip of it on the YouTubes. But Tim, he just straight up, and it's not even like tongue in cheek. And and what's funny is they animate all of the people. So it's Mike Judge's animation version of them as they're talking. And then once in a while they'll bleed into the real human versions. But this guy's real. And it's like he says this and the band members are struck silent and there's this kind of kind of laughter. It's so awkward. But he comes straight out and admits that he has had sex with every kind of female animal out there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's how it starts. All right. Where are we off to next? How many more stories do we have?
We have 2 left.
All right. Let's begin the final countdown. Number 2.
It's the final countdown. Yeti, Loch Ness Monster, you think they're real? Well, a monster hunter will pay you £50,000 to prove they're real. The Loch Ness Monster, Yeti, and Bigfoot are creations of legend and myth, according to this article. Don't get on me about it, but a real-life monster hunter has partnered with Capcom to uncover concrete evidence.
Concrete, you say? Is that Walter Cronkite and a concrete monkey company? Yeah, words is hard today. I'm just going to shut up and let you finish the story.
It is hard. Concrete evidence of their existence. Hopeful monster hunters across the globe. Across the globe, Dave.
All across the globe. You can send your hate mail to tim@darknessradio.com. You racist bastard. All across the globe.
Woo! You gotta love it when you're drinking straight grain alcohol before the show. Hopeful monster hunters all across the globe have until June 30th, 2018 to collect a staggering 50,000-pound bounty I don't know that that's staggering. For genuine evidence of the world's most talked about beast. The bounty was put up by veteran games developer Capcom to celebrate the release of its latest title, Monster Hunter, World. I had to put the colon in there. Yeah. The Japanese company behind Mega Man, Street Fighter, and Resident Evil is certain that renewed interest in real-world monsters could lead to exciting new discoveries. That's why Capcom has partnered with John Downs, director of the world's leading research center and authority on cryptozoology, the Center for Fortean Zoology in North Devon. The renowned cryptozoologist will be at the forefront of the competition, analyzing every piece of evidence that emerges in the coming months. Mr. Downs said, there are stories of monsters from around the world, and while some may be flights of fancy, not every one of these monsters can be made up. It is one of life's great mysteries, and similar to Monster Hunter World, I've spent the majority of my life traveling across the globe to hunt for evidence of these creatures. Although I've had some successes, I've yet to find that elusive proof, and it is time for me to offer my help as I throw down the gauntlet to the next generation. The recently launched Monster Hunter World pits players against otherworldly and fearsome beasts in a fantasy setting, but there are those who believe we share a home with these creatures. Mr. Downs outlined his 10 picks for the competition, hoping to once and for all bag evidence of their existence. These monsters include Bigfoot, mermaids, the Earthhound, Loch Ness Monster, Yeti, the Mongolian Death Worm, which is what I nicknamed it once in college, Chupacabras, the Cornish Owl Man, which is another nickname I had for it, and the Flying Snake of Namibia.
That's what I used to call it in college, too.
That's what Dave used to nickname his, and the Yowie, which is what a girlfriend nicknamed hers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who can provide evidence of any of these 10 monsters without a shadow of a doubt between January 30th and June 30th of 2018 will be awarded the full bounty, if you know what I mean.
And how much is it? 50,000 pounds?
50,000 pounds.
That comes to like $75,000 in American. I'd take it, but I would be willing to bet if you could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that one of these creatures exist, it'd be worth a lot more than 50 pound from some video game company.
Probably.
I mean, it's a good start.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good summer job for the kids to go out and try to prove these things exist. Right? It's
better than mowing lawns.
Yeah, right. Go out and prove it. What are you doing? Why is my son spending so much time underneath the deck beating the bush?
Huh?
Well, he's looking for like chupacabras and yowies and junk. So you got to go out and beat the bush in order to find these things. They'll hide, Tim. They're stealthy. They're stealthy.
They are.
Yeah, you got to grab your stick and beat the bush and see if they'll come out. It's the way you do it. I'm pretty sure. I've watched TV. And then you got to give out a yelp, Tim. You've got to talk in their language. It's like this. Whoop! Just like that.
I bet.
Yeah.
Especially and then if you beat it too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see if they come out. I don't know if there's a yelp for the chupacabra.
Oh.
Andale, andale! I don't know. Would that be?
Odele!
Odele?
Yeah, Odele.
I think
so it is.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Our final story was Supernatural News number 1.
Our final story takes us to a psychic who was hired to find a missing Argentine submarine that vanished with 44 people on board.
What?
Yes. She believes
they're going to drop her in the water and drag her so she can pick up the vibes?
Yes. She's going to drag the swamp to see if she can find a submarine.
I'm sensing something.
How long of a choke chain do you need for that psychic in order to... I don't know. A psychic has been hired to find a submarine that went missing last year with 44 people on board. The sub vanished on November 15th and was last seen 268 miles off the coast of Argentina. Or as the article says, Argentina. They forgot the R. ARA San Juan's disappearance sparked an international search with the U.S. and Russian naval forces scouring the South Atlantic. But after weeks of searching with no luck, Argentine officials have now asked a psychic for help. They are hoping the clairvoyant will be able to track the missing sub and bring home the crew's bodies after the woman came forward, claiming to know where the vessel is. The woman, who goes by the name of Maricel, hails from Buenos Aires and recently arrived in the coastal city of...
You sound a little bit more white from that there Buenos Aires.
from there, that there Buenos Aires, and recently arrived in the coastal city of Mar del Plata to speak with family members of the 44 crew members. She believes that the submarine is stranded 250 meters below sea level. Now, I want to talk in that accent for the rest of the story. She believes that their submarine is stranded 250 meters below sea level, just north of the Navy's research zone, or search zone, rather. But despite not revealing her methods or how she came to this conclusion, Navy officials have sent out the ARA Robinson.
I found it. I found it.
With the
it's right here.
She specified she's actually on board, so they may use her for chum to find this thing eventually. Here, but here's a tank. Go find the thing. It's got 2 minutes of air.
Over here.
Claudio Rodriguez, brother of crew member Hernan Rodriguez, told local media, Maricel is a humble, simple woman, so she won't need the air tank. I welcome her involvement as the authorities have not been able to find the submarine. And Yolanda Mendiola, the mother of Leandro Cisneros, who was also on board the vessel, told reporters, we trust her. She does not want media exposure. She simply came here to collaborate. She has a natural gift and can perceive people's energy. It is something she has had since she was a child. According to relatives' accounts, Maricel said that the submarine suffered damage on its way back to Mar del Plata and became stranded but remains intact. There you go.
There you have it. It's over here. I can see it down here. It's yellow.
It's a yellow submarine?
That's right.
Wow.
I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. All right, that's it.
Story, but it's just, you know, it's the whole fact that they do.
It's over here. Look, just look, goddammit. It's right here. All right, we have to take a break. We'll come back. We've got Parashare right after this.
Beyond the darkness.
Hey, we're back. This is the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Join me this September as I go on my Dracula stakeout in Romania. We'd love for you to join us. This is going to be amazing. We're going to be out there. We're going to go through Baisu, the haunted forest. We're going to get to see 2 castles that we get to investigate. That's right, paranormal investigations at 2 castles, plus the nighttime visit to the Baisu haunted forest, which is also wrought with UFO activity. Plus, there are other great castles, the birthplace of Vlad the Impaler, his final resting place, allegedly, and we get to see amazing places along the way. This is one of my favorite trips. This will be my 3rd time in 6 years visiting Romania. I'm not kidding you. If I could retire anywhere in the world right now and still be able to see my children, it would be Romania, Tim. It is
really
gorgeous out there. And it's easy to live, man. It's cheap. I think our dollar's worth 3 of their dollars. Where in the world can American dollars be worth that much? I want to move to Romania for that reason alone. But it is steeped in history, legend, lore, the Strigoi, the ghosts, UFOs, and more. Come on out and join me. How do you do it? Just email me, dave@darknessradio.com. I'll send you the link. dave@darknessradio.com. Don't wait any longer. You want an adventure? Put yourself into the game. Join me this September 2018 as we go on an expedition through Romania and Transylvania to some of the most haunted and historic spots on the planet. Again, you can check it out by just emailing me, dave@darknessradio.com, and I will send you the link, or you can check out darknessevents.com to get the immediate banner. Just click it, and it'll take you in, and you can put down your deposit and get on board. Join us on this trip. Let's get started, Timothy, if you don't mind, with some Parashare stories that have been coming in.
All right.
Now, I don't know. Should I avoid the old stories again? Should I stick with new because we've gotten so many new ones? Should I mix and mingle? Should we go new stories this week, old stories next week? Should we maybe do it that way? Every other week we'll alternate until we come to the middle somewhere in about 2014.
That's a good question. Let's start with some new ones. Let's do some new ones.
All right. Let's do some new ones before these become the old ones we're playing 4 years from now.
Right.
Hi, Dave and Tim. Hi. First, thank you so much for Beyond the Darkness. It's given me something to look forward to, and some of the shows you've put on have helped me in ways I never expected. Second, I've got a story about the most paranormal experience I've had to date. For Mother's Day last year, I booked a trip for my mother and I to go to Jerome, Arizona, because she needed a vacation, and she wanted to go on a ghost hunt. I'll admit, I was skeptical because I know that Jerome is supposed to be incredibly haunted, and I fully expected the whole town to just play it up. I did make a goal to leave my cynicism behind, as this trip wasn't about me. This was about my mother having a good old time and maybe us getting a little spooked. Now, I'll admit right now that the only paranormal thing that happened to me personally was that the paper towel dispenser in a haunted restaurant kept dispensing while I was alone in the restroom. Not very exciting, I know. My mom, though, had an incredible experience on our ghost tour. After linking up with another family of 3 and a tour guide, everyone got suited up with a K2 meter and a ghost box. The guide then took us to several locations in town that he had profound experiences at. In the first 2 locations, we both got a couple of spikes on our K2 meters, but otherwise, the most exciting experience we had was a large bat swooping down upon our group. It was the 3rd location that really made the trip happen for us. Our guide told us that this location had once been a hospital. Whenever he went there, he told us he experienced the spirits of children. I was trying to be open-minded, so I led my mother to a spot that was far enough away from the rest of the group and began speaking. Hello, my name is Kia, and this is my mom, Susie. Can you tell me your name? On both of our ghost boxes, clear as day, we heard a little voice say, Marilyn. We gaped at one another. Hi, Marilyn. Can you tell me how old you are? Marilyn responded, I'm 5. It was then that my mother had one of the most brilliant ideas. Hey, Marilyn, she spoke in a loving, motherly tone. Will you sing with me? With that, my mother started to sing. Twinkle, twinkle, little... There she stopped. Star, I added, causing my mom to shoot me a glare. I guess she wanted the spirit to fill it in. How I wonder what you... Here, Mom stopped again, and through the ghost box came a tiny, wavering response that we couldn't quite make out, but it was timed perfectly to fill in the word R. Mom, the most loving person I know, clapped. Great job, Marilyn! It was then that the guide told us we had to get going, so we bid our fond farewells to Marilyn, who left us with a final bye. Mom and I were buzzing for the rest of the night. We were giggling and laughing and plotting our next ghost trip. Speaking of which, if you've got any awesome suggestions that aren't terrifying, I could use some ideas. Anyway, thank you for your time. That's from Kia from Phoenix. Well, Kia, go check out darknessevents.com and join us on our Romanian trip, or you can see us out at the Michigan Paracon or a number of cool places, or join us on the haunted cruise we're taking with Chris Jericho, a bunch of wrestlers, musicians, comedians. It's going to be a fantastic time, and you'll be on the high seas with Tim and I on Halloween. How much better can it possibly be, Tim? How much better? That's what I asked you, Tim. How much better can it be?
And I would respond with, it can't.
So Kia kind of has me a little perplexed as I read this email. Again, she says, nothing happened to me. The only thing that happened was to my mother. But she was with her mother when that took place. So how did it not happen to her?
Exactly.
Huh? Huh?
Yep. You heard R2.
Huh? Yeah. That's all I'm asking, Tim.
Right.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
All
You're
right.
You're right.
Premonitions. Hi, Dave and Tim. My name is Mackenzie, and I'm from Eagan, Minnesota. I've been a huge fan of your show since Darkness Radio days, and I'm an even bigger fan of Beyond the Darkness. I've wanted to email you guys for the longest time, and I've decided now is the time. I've had premonitions all my life. They usually come in dream form. I think this gift of mine has been passed down by my mother, who has premonitions as well, also in dream form. The most recent ones have happened after my father passed away in 2013 of October. I'm not sure if it could be signs from my father letting me know he's with me, or my premonition episodes have been enhanced after a death. Who knows? My father was a very spiritual man. Growing up in a Catholic family, he was very in tune with God, spirituality, and especially the paranormal. Every Friday night, my father and I would watch Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures until one of us would fall asleep and snore like a chainsaw. We were connected at the hip, and I was the biggest daddy's girl you'd ever meet. We would do everything together. Play catch, play tennis in the street, go to Twins games, you name it, we did it. The day he died, he kept giving my mom and I subtle hints that he didn't have much time left, which makes me wonder if he knew he was going to die that day. I also had weird feelings the night he died as well. I was working at my first job at a hockey rink in Eagan. It was my first day on the job, and my father dropped me off at work for a few hours. It was about 8 o'clock at night, and I was upstairs in the mezzanine room by myself vacuuming for a meeting the next day. As I was walking through the room, to vacuum, all of a sudden, I had a strange feeling that I wasn't alone. It almost felt like someone just walked into the room without telling me and was just watching me work. It was very strange. I stopped in my tracks, looked around, but I saw no one. I just brushed it off and just thought I was freaking myself out because I was all alone in this big room. After I came home from work, my mom found my dad in his bed, unresponsive. Paramedics, cops, and fire trucks rushed to the house and worked on reviving my dad for an hour, but there was no use. The coroner estimated the time of death was around 8 p.m., the same time I felt someone watching me at work. That made me realize that it was more than just my mind playing tricks on me. A few months later, I was working on a class science project that needed a few tennis balls. I can't remember what I needed the tennis balls for, but I haven't been in high school in 5 years, so forgive me. My dad and I had a stash of tennis balls that we used to play with when we would play tennis. The only thing was, the last person who put the tennis balls away was my dad, so I had absolutely no idea where they could be. I had to be at work in 30 minutes, and I was looking everywhere for these stupid tennis balls. I looked in cabinets, looked behind chairs. I even looked behind a heater that my dad used to use when he would smoke in the garage during the winter time. After 15 minutes of looking for them, I gave up and went inside and sat in the chair and watched TV before having to leave for work. While I was sitting there, I all of a sudden had a flashback from the night before of a dream I had of my dad sitting by the heater in the garage warming his hands. I thought to myself, why the heck did I just remember this dream now? And then all of a sudden, I had an urge to look one more time in the garage by the heater that I dreamt about. I said to myself, no way the tennis balls will be there. I just looked there. I went back in the garage and looked behind the heater, and lo and behold, the bag of tennis balls were there. They were sitting right there. I've never had such intense goosebumps in my entire life. A couple weeks later, I had another premonition. I woke up to a weird dream that seemed way too real. My dad used to drive a 2001 red Mazda Protege hatchback. It was a 5-speed, and I used to drive it all around the neighborhood just so I could have one last memory of my dad. I had to give up the car to sell it. The dream I had was of me sitting in the driver's seat, turning the key in the ignition, and the car was deader than a doornail. When I woke up, I was so confused because I just drove the car a few days ago to the gas station, and it was working just fine. I got up and went to the garage, opened the door, sat in the driver's seat, turned on the ignition, and of course, the car wouldn't start. It was dead. I couldn't figure out why I was having so many premonitions that came true in a matter of weeks, both of them having to do with my dad after he passed away. Is this a dream visitation that involves my dad trying to communicate with me? I haven't had these occurrences since, but some small signs from my dad here and there. It comforts me knowing that he is always with me. I just thought it was something interesting to share with you guys. Sorry if this is too long of an email since this is my first time emailing. I have so many more things to share, and I will share those with you all soon. Keep up the great work, and that comes from Mackenzie. Well, Mackenzie, we're sorry for the loss of your father, but we're glad that you had time together and that it was special and filled with love. And what could be going on? listen, you've already had premonition dreams. Now you're having the psychic link with your father. Maybe you're just more in tune and open now more than ever because you're hoping for communication from your father. That would be my guess. I don't know, Tim, where do you stand on that?
Well, she mentioned dream visitations, and I would agree with her. I do think she had some dream visitations, especially with the tennis balls. I think that does sound like, when she's describing the being in the garage with the with him being out there. That does sound like a classic dream visitation and giving her clues as to something that she may be looking for.
All right, here's our next email. Ooh, I don't know that I like the title of this. Own death prediction. Hello, Dave. I was listening to your show you had with Stephanie Arnold. It's a strange thing because my wife and I were talking a while back, and I felt and still feel I'm going to pass at the age of 57. I am now going to be 54 this February. And even though my wife and I don't know if she believes me or not, I've tried to comfort her and tell her that I believe I'll live longer. But I have to tell you, just the other week, I had a very vivid dream, and I remember it, and I still feel the emotions till now. The dream I had, I was laying down telling my wife things are going to be okay, not to cry, not to be sad, I'll be fine. I don't know if this is a premonition or not, but I do find it kind of strange, and I think synchronicity is involved regarding, I just had this dream and now the show. Is there a way you can put me in contact with this woman? Since she is able to pick up these things, I would really love to know if this is possible or if it's going to happen. For the same fact, I'd love to have everything prepared for my wife and my kids if this were to happen. You guys are doing great and such an excellent job. Keep up the excellent work. Hope you feel better from your cold. Tell Tenacious Tim hello, your friend Ruben. Ruben, I will not put you in contact with her. I'm sorry. I think life is for living. The minute you settle in and give in that you're going to die by the age of 57, I think you're going to put into motion a lot of bad things that could occur. This is what I would tell you. You have a wife and you have children that you love. Stop being a dumbass and focus on living your life. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but sometimes you need a little tough love. Stop focusing on the death. This comes from a guy who's obsessed and terrified of death. But stop focusing on it. Time is irrelevant. If you die at the age of 57, make the next 3 years the best years you've ever had. Get your ass up early, spend time with your children, go to bed late, spend time with your wife, enjoy doing the things that make life worth living. And then you'll give yourself the inspiration to move past this thought and past this fear. There are too many celebrities out there that called their own death ages. And I think that's because once you get that set in your mind, you set some kind of universal effect into motion. And I don't want to connect you with a psychic or a medium or somebody who's sensitive to this and can maybe tell you when your death is coming, because that's something we shouldn't know. We should treat every day as though it's our last day and treat everyone we come into contact with like this is their last day. Show them kindness, love, respect, and courtesy, because that's what life is all about. So please, my friends, stop. Just stop focusing on your death in 3 years. Stop focusing unless you get a solid note from the doctor saying, hey, Ruben, you only have 3 years. Then still put all the time you can into living and loving in those 3 years. But you have a job to do. You have children and you have a life and a wife that love you. So do your best to just be with them and be in the moment and blow past that. I expect to get an email from you in 5 years saying what a silly deal it was and how you turned your life around and your thoughts and concerns, and that you're still here with us, Ruben, because that's the only email that's going to count. So God bless you, my friend, and enjoy life. Take advantage of these next 3 years to set a new course, plot a new adventure that doesn't end at the age 57. Tim, do you want to weigh in on that?
Just to set your goals beyond 57. You know, there's a DJ here in town who used to play a very dangerous game on the air, and it was called, he used to do it with a psychic, and it was, how do you want to die, or when are you going to die? And they used to predict the method of when you were going to die or how you were going to die, and I hated that game. I absolutely hated it, because ultimately, like Dave said, if you put it in your mind that you're going to die at that age, you're going to. And you will set your own fate. Don't set your fate. Your job, when your job is done here on Earth, you'll go, Ruben. And let's hope that's not for many, many years to come. So
I agree.
Set yourself a positive goal. Set yourself a goal that you're going to be here for your grandkids and your great-grandkids, and that you're going to be here for a long, healthy life with your wife. And like Dave said, let's hear from you in 5 years and tell us that was a silly notion that you had.
All right. Hey, Dave and Tim, before I get started, I'd like to say that the story I'm about to tell you is all secondhand information and that I have not witnessed these events myself, but after becoming addicted to your podcast, after listening for the past 6 months, I felt this would be right up your alley. And who knows, maybe with proper clearance, one day someone could do a proper investigation of this property. My name is Kyle, and I'm writing you from the quiet little Southern California horse town of Norco. There are a lot of things that make Norco a great place to call home, like our history of being a very equine, is that how you say, equine-friendly town since before our inception. Our high school sports programs, which are known for being some of the toughest in the state, and our overall small-town vibe. But one thing that hardly ever gets talked about is one of our biggest historical sites called the Lake Norconian Hotel and Club. The Lake Norconian Resort was established in the 1920s after Captain Cuthbert Gully, an engineer for Rex Clark, who is considered our city's founder, struck hot mineral water while drilling a well and gave rise to the idea of opening a resort and health spa. Now, I could go into detail as to what the hotel amenities consisted of, but to save time, I'll just say that by the time the resort was finished, it was considered to be one of the most lavish resorts in the country. Unfortunately, after much success through the 1930s that saw some of the top A-list celebrities of the time come through the resort, and even the lake scene from Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters, as well as a few other movies, were filmed there. The resort would eventually close due to the Great Depression and other issues. It did reopen for a short time after an influx of money and the name change, but would eventually close again. In October of 1941, the U.S. Navy purchased the property, and after the attacks on Pearl Harbor, it would be commissioned as a naval hospital and would soon begin receiving patients from the attack. Later on the facility, it would be expanded to hold and treat tuberculosis and malaria patients from the U.S. Navy, and that's where the ghost stories begin. Now, as you can probably imagine, due to tuberculosis and malaria, many sailors lost their lives at the hotel, and several others are said to have taken their own lives because of the grim fate they faced with those diseases. Now, one thing I did leave out about the grounds where the Norconian is located is that it's said to have underground bunkers that were used for ammo storage. Now, whether those are around during this time of it being used as a hospital or not, or if it was built afterwards when it transitioned into becoming a naval surface weapons center is still unknown. But the reason I mention these bunkers is because one report is that very few people who have been allowed onto the property have claimed to see the apparition of an African-American Marine heading toward the tunnels with a belt around his neck. Other reports came from around the lake. It said that during its operation as a hospital, Marines were stationed as guards around the lake to keep patients from drowning themselves, but would often step aside if they knew the sailors were TB patients. Tales tell of apparitions in patients' garb being seen walking near the lake and sounds of splashes being heard, presumably due to the sailors who took their own lives. And now, this wouldn't be a good ghost story without your typical lady in white sighting, would it? That's right. Witnesses have claimed to see a woman in white walking through the halls of the abandoned hotel. Many believe that these sightings are of either one of the many nurses who died at the hospital after contracting tuberculosis from the sick sailors that they were treating. And that is where the stories come to an end. I live in Norco from the time I was born up until my 20th birthday. Then I unfortunately moved out of my beloved hometown and have only been on the property once when my father was being honored by the Chamber of Commerce. But unfortunately, I only made it as far as the clubhouse, which is still pretty good distance away from the hotel itself. Ever since I had my first paranormal experience and heard the stories of this historic place, I've wanted to be a part of an investigation, but unfortunately, due to the fact that it's an active naval base and part of California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, they don't just give anyone clearance to go into the facility. I am currently talking with a city councilman as well as some civilian employees at the base who like to frequent my parents' restaurant that's just down the road from the main entrance to the base to try and figure out a way to possibly get some sort of pass to get in there. But I'm told the chances are pretty slim. Anyway, that's it for now. I do have some of my own personal experiences and encounters as well as a possible UFO sighting. And I know how much you guys hate teases, but for the sake of saving time and letting you guys get to other people's stories, I'm afraid I'll have to wait for another day and another time. Thanks for everything you two do and getting me through my work days. Keep up the good work, and that comes from Kyle, the big tease, Tim.
Aww.
Yeah. Well, I've got my own stories, but I'll save those for another day, you bastard. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, Dave and Tim, I hope you guys had a great New Year's, and I cannot wait to see what the new year brings for Darkness Radio and Beyond the Darkness. I've been a loyal listener for a few years and absolutely love all the personal spooky stories, news, and interviews that you and Tim do. Very, very interesting info. Anyway, I'm writing to tell you both, my sister and I, let me try this again. Anyway, I'm writing to you both to tell my sister and I's somewhat spooky and weird story. I'm reading as it's written. I'll keep her real name out of the story, but let's call her Simone. We've always been extremely close. She is 6 years older than me, and but wherever she went, I followed. Over the years, while growing up, my sister and I have always had a deep fascination with the paranormal and overall weirdness of the world. We had talked about our paranormal experiences, and one similarity is that spooky things always seemed to follow us no matter where we lived. When we met her husband, I was about 12 years old, and I was always at their apartment and eventually their house. I was another member of the family and was close with my brother-in-law and my niece and nephew. They moved to Tennessee in 2006. Heartbroken as I was and missing them like crazy, the years went on and so did life. Through the phone calls and visits she could make to Indiana where I live, we kept in touch. Her husband had a severe drinking problem and was violent towards her on many occasions. After years of abuse, she finally left him and moved on with her life and met a wonderful man, and they finally became happy. August of 2016, her ex-husband and my brother-in-law died unexpectedly and tragically. It had been well over 6 to 7 years since I had seen them. We had spoken on Facebook Messenger, I want to say about a year before. In that message, he said this would be the last time I would talk to him, and though his death wasn't a suicide, it truly was the last time I spoke to him. I was torn when he died because I had been so close to him. He had basically been a big brother to me. I was mad at him and wanted to hate him for what he had put Simone and the kids through. Emotional and physical abuse, the abuse of alcohol had no doubt changed who he was and made him this person. I was so sad for the loss, but also mad at how he had treated his family, my family. It was about a week or two after he passed. I had a dream. In my dream, I was with my brother-in-law, maybe in my teens. My brother-in-law used to be very heavy and had lost quite a bit of weight before dying. But in the dream, he was heavy again. And my sister, we were all sitting on the couch and we were just joking around, having a good time and laughing. At this time in my dream, I realized that he passed and that he's really gone. I look at my sister, and with a small, sad smile on her face, she simply nods her head, yes. I broke down in tears and started to sob. Then I heard his voice, almost as if it were inside my head. Instead of him talking to me, he said, I know why you're crying, and I don't want you to. It was his voice that I hadn't heard in 6 to 7 years. I woke up sobbing and feeling this overwhelming sadness. And yet, like a pressure had been lifted off of me. The entire day, he was on my mind, and I couldn't help but wonder if he had visited me to say, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to miss me. I recalled the story to my husband later that day and ended up sobbing again, and by the end of it, I was like a baby. I waited about a week to tell my sister my dream and ask her what she thought. I told her all what I just told you through tears and feeling embarrassed that I had gotten so emotional again over a dream. She told me she thought that he did indeed visit me to comfort me and say goodbyes. Then she told me something I didn't expect. She was alone in her house doing dishes. This was after his passing, maybe a few weeks. She caught movement in the side of her vision and saw her ex-husband walking from the living room to their son's room. She saw only the side and back of him, but said he was solid, and it was definitely him. He looked as if he was on a mission, is what she told me, like the walk of someone on their way to get something important done. She followed him into the nephew's room, only to find it completely empty. I asked her if she felt scared when she saw him, and she replied with, "No. Brother-in-law or not, I would have been running out of that house. I believe that he has visited each of us to make sure we're okay, and to maybe try to make up for what he did when he wasn't his best self while alive. He truly was an amazing person before he fell into alcoholism. I miss him a lot, and the world is less brighter without him in it. If only he would have gotten the help that he needed and stayed committed to being healthier and sober." I hope this wasn't too hard to read since I'm writing to you on my iPhone. And Dave, I know you're a stickler for grammar and paragraphs, and I tried to do my best. I wanted to share one more of Simone's stories with you, if that's all right. When she was still living with her ex, my brother-in-law, and the kids, she told me one evening she was in the yard doing something. I don't remember what now, but it was early evening, and it was getting dark. But there was just enough light left to see without a flashlight. She told me all of a sudden she felt a dark and oppressive feeling come over her, just out of nowhere. She felt as if she was being watched and looked around the yard thinking maybe there was a bear nearby, as it is a real danger to where she used to live. Seeing no bears, but she did describe to see a small black figure. It darted around their house and yard. It was moving too fast to be an animal, she said. Simone believed there was an evil presence on that property and stayed there after she and her kids left, and she thinks it may have influenced my brother-in-law into alcoholism, depression, and overall mood. I can only hope he is truly at peace now, something he was denied in life. Well, that's my sisters and my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry for the length. I hope to hear it read on Darkness Radio, and I'd like to thank you both for all you do. You truly provide a place for us weirdos and paranormal nerds to feel not judged and learn more about the mysteries of this wonderful world and lives we share. I do have more stories of my experiences of spooky, but dramatic pause. That's for next time, she says. I wish you both health, happiness, and much-deserved success for the years to come. Ashley from good old Indiana. Ashley, you tease the people, and they're teasing, Tim.
I know.
Oh, my gosh. All right. We have time for one more quick story. Hi, Dave and Tim. This is something that happened to me about 10 years ago. I really haven't been able to explain it. I'm interested in hearing what you two think. My husband's parents were living in an assisted living home in Mount Carmel section of Redwood City, California. In California, assisted living homes are allowed no more than 6 people per home. My husband and I lived a few blocks away, which allowed us to visit very often. We would often help with chores around the home, allowing us to get to know the other folks living there. I developed a friendship with one of the patients named Jackie. She was such a sweetheart, and although she had brain damage, her long-term memory was great, and she loved to talk about old-time movie and TV stars. She had a love of Lucille Ball and the I Love Lucy TV show. As a surprise, I went out and bought her the complete series on DVD, and we would watch them together. A few months later, I was traveling for work and wasn't able to visit my in-laws for a week. Once I got back, my husband and I headed over for a visit, and as we walked into the hallway, I looked into the living room and saw 4 people sitting in their comfortable chairs, covered in warm blankets, watching I Love Lucy, all except Jackie. She sat in an awkward, slumped position without a blanket. The others were laughing at the show, but Jackie didn't move. She just sat there staring at the TV. I noticed she was wearing a blue and white pantsuit that I had never seen her wear before. She didn't even acknowledge me when I waved to her. As my husband and I walked into his parents' room, I mentioned to them that I was upset with the caregivers. Why would everyone else have a blanket except Jackie? Why didn't the caregivers help her to sit correctly? He looked at me oddly and said, "What are you talking about? Jackie was hospitalized yesterday and isn't even here." I quickly walked back into the living room, and the chair Jackie was sitting in was now empty. I checked her bedroom, and it was empty too. I don't know what to think. Jackie came home for a few days later and was her usual sweet self. She lived for another 6 months. So what did I see? A doppelganger? A vision? An astral projection from the hospital? I just don't know. What do you guys think? And that comes from Elaine. Well, Elaine, I think it personally probably was her projecting out of there, projecting out of a place she was uncomfortable with, and projecting what she could of herself to this place to watch the show that she loved to watch. I don't know that it was anything more than that. Tim, you want to weigh in on that?
You know, at the time, was she like under for surgery or had her heart stopped? Or was
I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't say. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to tell without knowing those factors.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, but thank you very much for sharing your story. We appreciate it. And everybody else, you can send us your stories. I know, just part of your stories and make us wait for the rest, but you can do it at dave@darknessradio.com. And remember, if you write it nicely, and it's 2, maybe 3 pages long, nicely spaced out with paragraphs, and use that there punctuation, it may even be used on the upcoming Theater of the Mind episode on Fridays. So if you can write it as a nice narrative, but make sure it's a real story, your real experience, we will share that in the future as a Theater of the Mind episode. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Tim, we've got a brand new True Crime Tuesday. And for conspiracy theorists and people that are interested in the royal family, Royal Vengeance, the assassination of Princess Diana, and talking about this strange ancient death cult, Tim. It sounds unbelievable, but you guys have to hear this to believe it. Plus, we're going to do I Knew a Murderer. And if you haven't subscribed yet, it's very simple. Go to darknessradio.com, click on the True Crime Tuesday banner, and subscribe. It's only $5 a month. That gives you access to 4 brand new episodes every month, plus the archives that are available and slotted on that site. And you can quit after 1 month, or you can continue it month by month. There's no long, lengthy commitment asked for. You can do it however you're most confident and comfortable in doing it. But I think if you love the best in paranormal talk radio, you're going to love the best in true crime talk radio. Go subscribe now and hear every one of our shows. You get 5 days a week with this show and 1 day a week with True Crime Tuesday. Subscribe again at darknessradio.com. Click on the True Crime Tuesday banner and get started with us. For Tim Dennis, I'm Dave Schrader. You've been listening to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.